Yeah, what's up, bro?
How's everything?
Good, man. How'd the live show go?
Great. Always good. Always good.
Do you guys typically do those once in a while, or is it just...
Well, that was the first one as far as YouTube Live is concerned since the whole pandemic, so...
Did it take a while to set it up? Is it like...
No, Comedy Central set it up for us.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is it hard to do? Is it something we'd be able to figure out, or is it...
Yeah, once we get...
Okay.
I mean, the issue with that, doing a YouTube live show and stuff like that is that everybody can see everything. So you want to do that with a decent amount of followers. You don't want to just sit there with 8 people. For the first time, we had like 1.7 thousand, which was good.
That is really good, yeah.
But we're hoping to get more, obviously, you know, as time goes on, as we get the message out there a little bit more, you know.
Of course. Do you think about that sort of stuff logistically, though, trying to figure out how to, I'm sure you just do it naturally for the bonfire. That's why I was curious how you would approach it. So.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely make an Instagram.
Okay.
But my thing is, especially with doing Instagram for like shows or new shows or something like that, like I'm doing it for the Raw Report, is that you have to develop some sort of, like we were talking about before, base of people that want to listen to it. So even if you have to put out content as a foundation, like we have 10 videos and 10 podcasts, so people can go and listen. And if they want to listen back, they have something to listen to. Like having all this stuff, like having an Instagram and YouTube and all that is awesome. Mm-hmm. But you need people to eventually start going to it and looking at it live, not live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy because one of the conversations is like, you know, a lot of people think that it's cool to be on Instagram, and this is off topic in general, because I was talking to somebody about this, but like, you know, everybody wants to be posted on Instagram, right? Everybody wants a shout out. You know, if you see a rapper in the street, guys see a rapper in the street, they're like, yo, put me on your Instagram, so I can get all these followers, right?
It becomes like an economy of...
Right. But then like certain rappers say like, yeah, okay, we'll even go look at your Instagram to maybe think that, hey, we'll do that. And you've got 4 pictures. You don't have any of your musical projects up there. So really, like, you just want the cloud of followers. You're not really putting forth the effort to be in the business or doing what it takes to get noticed.
Because you can recognize that right away, because you'll see the totality of
nothing on their page.
That's why it's important. I want us to have everything together. That's why I'm picking your brain on it, because if we were to approach it as like a puzzle, putting all the pieces together.
It just sucks that this time period is where we can't go outside and connect with people. If this was anything else, we would have really jump forward as far as community stuff and like helping food get to hospitals, and we could really like.
I know, especially with the app, where like we have the infrastructure. It's just we can't. But honestly, it might help us, because once everybody wants to, we're gonna have that momentum. So that's why I want to be prepared to have it ready and sense. So,
and not to mention, like, this is the time to do it since everybody's at home.
Exactly. We have the focus on us. That's why I want to at least get it out there where people are seeing it. I mean, Google or Facebook has their sponsorships, but I just think that's bullshit. I don't trust it. But
listen, we could get our own. I kind of wanted to have. I'm going to have a few on the concept shows that I do as well.
And they've already been thinking about it.
Oh yeah,
right.
The smoke shop that I had as my background, I saw it.
Oh, excellent.
Like, oh, man, that's so cool. Like, yo, let us know. I'm like, all right. Like, you know.
And you like my idea too, with like the marijuana thing. Like, if they'd come in and be like describing how things work, because I feel like it's an education thing, but also it's not lame where everybody's like, this is fucking boring. Like, if we're all,
or they know it already.
Right. No, but just even asking them how they would approach it. So they're like, look, here's the way to kind of spin it, because I mean, we have our ideas, but maybe it's like they want to show it a certain way. So.
Definitely.
Okay. And then who do you want to do next guest wise? Is there anybody else you want to throw into the mix like soon, or do you still want to just do us for the near term? Or? So I don't have anybody yet. I was just saying if you had somebody.
I'm working on a few things. It's just, it's weirdly like hard or harder now because everyone's asking everyone to do everything.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, the resources. Yeah, well, that's the thing too. It's like we're all trying to do it, so it feels that I don't want to be in the jumble of. It sucks. It really does.
I'm not gonna say the guy's name because I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Yeah.
But one of the comedians that I regularly like hang out with or whatever was basically like, you know, this whole thing is great, and it's as far as like being home and being able to talk, but like, you know, people will ask you to do anything now because they know you're at home. And he's like, I've had to tell a couple friends like, hey, dude, like I love you, but you know, I just don't feel like doing your podcast right now. And when he said that, I was like, all right.
No, but that's a universal, like, all right, just, yeah.
He wasn't saying it to me. He was just saying,
but
DMs are popping because these guys won't leave me alone, you know? Like, I'm not doing every podcast you guys want to offer me, Mom and Pop and John, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I want us to be so diverse where it's not the same shit, that we also have something we could present, because like you're saying, they're gonna be like, fuck you. Unless it's really worth the opportunity. I mean, it's good and bad because it'll separate us, but a lot of people aren't gonna.
And that's what I like about the concept show of Everything But, and like the musical portion of the whole thing, because those are different. I mean, I haven't heard them per se. The music thing obviously has been done before, but we'll just do it in our own capacity. I haven't heard people doing the ideas that we are talking about doing. So I'm really excited. And I think it'll be something different where people will be like, okay, that's a different niche. That's a different concept. Like, I'm down. Let's try it.
Just enough to make it unique enough.
I'm not looking for an hour. I'm looking for 15 to 20 minutes.
It's not realistic now. I mean.
No, not at all. Unless your commute is an hour.
Right, and the content's just been flooded now. It's tough to stick out. It's really, you have to be unique enough to. And like you said, anything but with the music, we could also do the layers of with the whiteboard and picking their brains, them specifically, because everything is so general now that we have to cut into the micro skills of here's what. It's more interesting now that everything has to be. Because people are bored. I think if you're so used to everything, you have to have something to pivot to. So if that makes sense.
100%. And like, you know,
because that's why I'm sorry. I thought the bonfire guys, I think of it as like a user interface with the comedians. Think of it as like their brains work differently, like a different computer.
Right.
These are the types of things we have to leverage, because it's like like somebody like my wife doesn't understand me, or she doesn't understand like comedians like that, because. But if you're in the scene, you know why they're special. So it's like if you're all mixing together and suddenly creating, like, you see how the bonfire magic works. They play off each other, but it's like building that chemistry.
You just froze for like 15 seconds.
Did you miss everything? Probably.
You go. So my wife isn't really into comedy, and then it just froze. I was like, did she just put the plug on him? Wi-Fi.
It's like she knew. Big brother. But like kind of like comedians in cars, it's like a psychological element of seeing how these people operate. It's so unique that you have to figure out a way to kind of not brand it, but conceptualize it together, that it flows and it's quick, because they are quick, because they're comedians and they're improvising. I think that plays to like a magic element. And
to go on with what you're saying, I have the same feeling as far as like all artsy people think differently, right? All their art may be opinion based or just what's inside of them. And going on with what you said, I want to know almost like the steps of their process of like figuring out, or not even like, God, it's hard to explain.
It's how they
know the artistic process that they have. You know what I mean? So I was watching a documentary one day on the NBA, and they were talking about some of the greatest shooters of all time, right? And you played pickup basketball before.
So I mean, Kobe is my idol, so that's all I do is watch his.
Right. So a couple of it was Dirk Nowitzki and a couple of other shooters, and they were just talking about their forms of shooting, right?
Yeah.
So all these players are like, yeah, I come down the court and I look at the front of the rim, because what you're supposed to do, obviously, is shoot the ball and try to get it over the rim, right? Like that's just in your mind. And so a lot of basketball players were saying that, and they go to Dirk, and Dirk's like, wait, what do you guys do?
It never occurred to him.
He's like, no. He's like, I know the path in which the ball needs to get to the basket. So I don't even look at the basket. He goes, I just look up because I know the path that it needs to go. And
also, the trajectory is already calculated in his head. He doesn't even have to.
It's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
And it's like they're both getting the same thing done, but they just have different approaches in art. And that's how I feel about artists. I would like to know their approaches if they want to divulge that information. I would like to know their processes of, I came up with this idea because I was thinking of this in my family and childhood, or I write these jokes down in this kind of outline. And then one of the best times I ever had was, or best experiences I ever had was, we do a smoke break on the bonfire, and we had a pre-tape before that, and I were the last ones to leave the studio. We got to the door of the lobby at Sirius, and he's like, fuck. I'm like, what's up? He's like, my fucking joke book is missing. He's like, dude, we gotta go back.
That's a heart attack.
Yeah, he was happy with that. So we run back to the studio, and he finds his joke book on the floor in the studio. He's like, oh, thank God. He's like, I had to start writing my notes differently because if anyone ever found this book, they could go back to my first special and be like, oh, this is all the jokes that he wrote from his first special.
It's true.
And he's like,
it's like the Back to the Future Almanac, man. It's all the fucking
right. So he's like, this is actually the last joke book that I'm going to have. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I was sitting down and, comedians talk about comedy and how they approach comedy just in the way of artistically, how we're talking about. And he said, Nate Bargatze uses index cards. So he doesn't write was writing all his shit down in his book, where he's like, Nate's basically saying look, you already know what the joke is in your head. So bullet point it all and just put it on the floor while you're doing stand-up. He's like, you can do this, boom, 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 look down. My mom is funny and she likes to smoke weed. Great. So, and you just...
That's a great approach.
And when you train yourself, I was like, and he's like, ever since I've done that, the punchlines have been coming the way I want them to come. My delivery has been great. He's like, I never really did forget anything, but it just seems clearer in my head doing it this way, doing it how Nate kind of suggested. And I was like, man, can you talk more? I can listen to that shit all day long. It's
true because it's transferable. You could use that in your everyday life. I used to watch Louis to kind of pick his mind because I wanted to be a comedian at one point, but what he would do is he would throw away all his material because he's like, now I've got to up the ante because I've got nothing left. He left, he blew it up because he knew he'd have to put the not the coverage, he'd really have to, you have no other choice. You got nothing left. But,
right. Yeah, man. Louis was, still is, just a smart comedian in the sense of I saw his show at Caroline's once back in the day, and what he would do is he went out and bought an iPod Classic.
Oh, thick ass.
Yeah, where he could put a recorder, a microphone recorder, into it and record his set. So he came out of Caroline's, put his iPod on my table.
No way.
Hey, thanks for keeping that there. And then went back and started doing his, and started the whole show. And I'm just like,
wow.
It was, dude, I'm all laughing extra just so it goes into the recording so he knows the jokes that I like. It's just being silly. But yeah, it was
I think of it like you're training sports muscles. I was reading about the draft class for this year, and they're saying these wide receivers are the best in a while because they can get the reps way before, because the football season had been so been about a couple months, but now that they're getting the reps consistently, their progress is so much further ahead because they're doing it. If you could build these habits and keep doing them quick, like even Louis was essentially listening to film, you find what you could pick and choose to pick apart. And that's what I want to do essentially with us, because what Kobe was doing was he was breaking down his game. Like he'd get up, what he would say was he'd get up 4 a.m, he'd get 2 hours of work in, he'd rest, do another 2 hours rest. And he would do it so far early in the morning that he'd be so ahead of a person with compound interest, because he's putting in all that work for years it just makes everything come together faster for you. So what I want to do is, by putting all these creative minds in one place, trying to pick and choose how they learn, and then also trying to implement it into your life. If you're doing this consistently on an ongoing basis, you're going to have so many points of reference that you're going to pick and choose what works, that eventually, if you're doing this consistently, you're going to be this, your brain sort of rewires in a way that you're going to be very unique, but you're also going to be able to implement mental, they call it like mental, not tricks, but it's like having formulas, right? So it's like you could draw upon different experiences at different times when people don't think like that. But
true.
That's why it's like with schooling now, it's practical and you're learning different things, but things are progressing so quickly now that you don't have the luxury of learning one thing and stopping. You have to consistently be learning.
Yep.